Hollywood.
everyone
Luka and
in the New York
LeBron were
area
quacking.
fans wants to know what is going on with these Knicks right now.
And feed them.
I'm sure everybody's calm right now for the
sure,
New York
totally,
Knicks.
yeah.
I think, look, let's take a step back here. Last playoff, they escaped by the skin of their chinny chin chin against the very young and
wake-up call from Hollywood. Luka and LeBron were quacking.
And then with
Feed
the
'em.
Celtics, they got very, very lucky in catching them at precisely the right time. We assumed that the Eastern Conference Finals was the starting point for this team. When you're looking at the fact that they have a new coach, that they're deeper, that their players are healthier and playing fewer minutes, and this team looks like this and they look so disconnected on both ends of the floor, maybe our expectations were a wee bit too high. When Josh Hart says our next game is a must-win, you know what that next game is, guys? It's in Memphis against the Grizzlies on lottery watch, and they're saying this is a must-win. That's why I'm very not bullish on this team as much. I think maybe our expectations were too high as opposed to saying, you know what, maybe this team can get to the conference finals as opposed to saying this team should get to the NBA finals. Does this look like a finals team to you guys after 75 games? You can't be saying that you're disconnected at this point with 7 games left in the regular season.
Come on.
Vince, I'm going to say this. The Knicks was going to beat Boston before that little hiccup happened. You was watching like I was watching, and they was going to win that series anyway. But we're going to keep rolling. The Knicks have a problem right now just because we are headed into the playoffs. And, yes, you're right. We did expect a little bit too much from them. Adding a new coach, we thought that would put them over the top. We thought this problem with whatever was going on, it's a very much of a phantom thing that's going on with Karl Anthony Towns, where there's flashes of greatness and then there's flashes of indecisiveness. And indecisiveness is not something that people want to look at when we're going into playoff basketball. I thought Jalen Brunson, we know what we're going to get from him, but there might be a little bit too much emphasis on he has to do too much for this Knicks team to go far, and I don't like that.
And look, it appears, Vince, that we're hanging on to last year. You get rid of Tibbs. You bring in a new coach for a coach that got the team to the conference finals. Are you thinking that the Knicks last year were kind of the outlier and they were expecting too much from a team that maybe outperformed a year ago?
Absolutely. I think when you look at sometimes these championship windows are very finite. You can go from being right on the doorstep to having missed your time. And maybe that was last season. Maybe that was the past 2 seasons with the injuries that they've had. And Iman's right. We're not sure what to make of Karl Anthony Towns. And maybe, just maybe, their window should have been, let's figure out a way to get Giannis Antetokounmpo last summer as opposed to pushing all their chips to this roster this season, because it looks like they're lacking shot creation, rim protection, and even though the numbers say they're a top 10 team offensively, a top 5 team defensively, your eyes tell you something different, and you wonder if some of those great numbers are built off the back of really bad teams, because when they play really good teams and it's time to elevate their game, they look like a very simple team to play against that other good defensive teams can shut down.
Come on, last word.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I didn't think Jalen Brunson could get loose, and that scares me when you're talking about the defensive side of the ball. They're going to run into teams during the playoffs that can defend. And seeing that stagnant offense at times, I'm not impressed, and I'm not happy about it, because we saw last year what Jalen Brunson had to do to propel them into wins. We don't want to have to see that again and have to see it on a lower scale, knowing that the Knicks are not what they once were.
Just about 7-8 games left in the regular season, the playoffs. They always tell the story. We'll find out soon enough. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Here's tonight's ESPN NBA doubleheader. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and the Celtics visit the Heat, 7:30 Eastern. Then Wemby and those Spurs got to watch them against the Warriors. NBA Countdown crew tips off the fun at 7 p.m. Eastern. More news this morning out of golf. We now know Tiger Woods will not be teeing it up at the Masters next week. Yesterday releasing a statement saying that he is stepping away from golf to seek treatment and focus on his health. The announcement came just 4 days after Woods was charged with misdemeanor DUI with property damage and refusal to submit to a blood test after his rollover crash in Jupiter, Florida. The 50-year-old Woods pleaded not guilty to those charges yesterday. In a statement, Woods said, quote, "I know and understand the seriousness of the situation I find myself in today. I am stepping away for a period of time to seek treatment and focus on my health. This is necessary in order for me to prioritize my well-being and work toward a lasting recovery. I'm committed to taking the time needed to return in a healthier, stronger, and more focused place, both personally and professionally. I appreciate your understanding and support and ask for your privacy for my family, loved ones, and myself. It's time. We are back on Get Up, the fundamental list. You see what we did there? It's going to be a list of things that I like. But first, this just into Get Up. Mike Tannenbaum has been named the general manager of Boston College football. See, be careful. It's April Fool's. Don't listen to Twitter. And you got to be careful today, all right? Just keeping you on your toes. In that vein of deception, trick plays, they make sports fun. Here's my favorite trick play. Sorry to all the Bills fans out there. I mentioned it a moment ago. The Music City Miracle. I'm still debating as Kevin Dyson goes down the sidelines and Wycheck throws it to him. I'm still debating whether or not that was actually a backwards pass all these years later. Does anyone care to weigh in? All right, don't all jump at once. Thank you. To the Music City Miracle, the Philly Special. Now, here's the deal with the Philly Special. It had been run numerous times by different organizations and different levels of football. It's because this won the Super Bowl that they get the name title to it in Philly Special. Nick Foles, backup quarterback of the year. Remember that story? Fantastic stuff there. They go on to win the Super Bowl. 2007, Fiesta, Boise State, Oklahoma. Jared Zabransky. Now, here's what makes this great. The Statue of Liberty to beat Oklahoma. Really the first time the little guy in football got to be the big guy. Ian Johnson, the running back right there. After the game, took a knee, proposed to his cheerleader girlfriend. I have not Googled to see if the marriage is still alive and well, but that was also one of the great plays in college football history. Chris Peterson giving you the Frank the Tank. This one was fantastic. 94, the fake spike to clock it. Dan Marino's like, nope. Right over the top. Perfectly executed. I don't know why they don't do the fake spike more often as Mark Ingram Sr. for the game-winning touchdown. And then Jets, Aaron Glenn, 31, head coach. He was actually the guy that bit on the fake. So that's a look at my favorite plays. Our desk over here that didn't want to participate at all, they sat there quiet. It's like one of them took a red-eye flight. I don't know. I have no idea what Tannenbaum's looking at over here. First of all, congratulations on your job at BC.
Go Eagles.
What thoughts on the trick plays? Did you like them?
I did. Aaron Glenn, by the way, got back on Dan Marino and had a pick six later in his career. And Aaron Glenn would tell Dan Marino that was payback for that play.
Really?
Yes.
That's a good little nugget.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite trick play that comes to your mind?
Just watching Brandon just not having to watch that Jets play. Our stage manager, Brandon, big Jets fan. So he was not happy with your little list.
Yeah, they're fans of all the teams here in the studio back in Bristol, and they've all been weighing in on whether or not we should have shown those. Either way, not a trick play. We're going to Cleveland, where the Browns are a week away from beginning off-season workouts with their quarterback mix of Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel. Yesterday on the Pat McAfee Show, Adam Schefter said we should be paying closer attention to this.
I think that's been one of the least talked about biggest stories going into the season. Mm-hmm. The fact that Deshaun Watson could wind up being the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I think that's absolutely on the table. I think that it feels like it's moving towards that right now.
You're